All right, listen up. Your current methods for Japanese listening comprehension are obsolete. They're failing you. That's why today you are being issued a new doctrine. It's effective, it's precise, and you will follow it. Consider this your new operational briefing. Pay attention.
Here's the briefing schedule for your re-education. We're going to move through each section one by one. No skipping ahead. Every phase of this is mandatory if you want to succeed. Let's get started. We're kicking things off with the single most critical command you will receive today. This directive is the foundation for the entire operation. So prepare to have everything you thought you knew about listening practice completely torn down.
That's right, you heard me. That is a direct order. If you want to improve your listening skills, you will stop your so-called listening practice right now. Let that sink in for a second. I know it sounds completely backward. Good. Your common sense in this area is a trap. It's what leads to wasted time and zero progress. Now I'm going to explain why.
Before we roll out the new strategy, you need to understand exactly why your current tactics are failing so miserably. So we're going to dissect this flawed approach. Most of you believe that the path to getting better is just to listen more, to just play audio over and over again. This is a fundamental, critical misunderstanding of how your brain actually learns a language.
Let's establish the first law of this battlefield. Without vocabulary, sound is not language. It's just noise. Your brain literally cannot process a word it doesn't already know. It's an unrecognized signal, a meaningless blip on your radar.
Let me give you a field report. My own partner listens to Vietnamese military songs on YouTube every single day. You think they'd be a dedicated soldier, right? But here's the thing, they haven't learned a single word of Vietnamese. And the result? After listening dozens, maybe hundreds of times, they can't understand one single word. They can't even write one down based on the sound. It is, and it always will be, just noise to them.
This is the undeniable truth. It's practically a law of linguistics. You can only perceive and process the words that are already in your personal arsenal. You cannot hear what you do not know. Burn that into your brain. It is non-negotiable.
Next step, grammar. Without a rock-solid grasp of grammar, you are walking straight into an ambush. A listening comprehension test is a one-time shot. There's no replay button. Now, a soldier who knows grammar can actually predict the enemy's next move. You can anticipate sentence structures and save your mental energy. But without it, you're just desperately chasing every single word, reacting blindly to a chaotic stream of sound.
And what happens when you're in that panic chase? Your working memory gets completely annihilated. You become so consumed with just trying to catch each sound that you burn through all of your cognitive resources. And by the time the question comes, you've got nothing left. Nothing to understand the meaning, nothing to process the question, and nothing to select the right answer. Mission failure.
Now, I know some of you are thinking, well, I'll just have more conversations then. Wrong. That's a flawed assumption. A real-world chat is full of support. You get facial expressions, hand gestures, context. A listening test is a completely sterile environment. It's like a radio call in the middle of the night. There are no visual cues. It is pure, unfiltered audio. Your casual conversation practice will not prepare you for that.
All right, enough tearing down your old, broken tactics. We're now pivoting to the solution. I am about to reveal the superior weapon system that you will be using from this day forward.
See, true listening comprehension is built on 3 pillars. First, vocabulary, that's your ammunition. Second, grammar, that's your strategic map. And third, real-time processing power, that's your combat readiness. All 3 have to be trained at the same time.
So what's the one training method that forges all 3 of these pillars at once? It's composition, writing. Now, before you start thinking about writing in a diary or some creative essay, stop right there. That is not the kind of composition I'm talking about.
We are now moving to the very core of this new doctrine. I am issuing you your new standard operating procedure. This method is precise. You must follow it to the letter. There is zero room for improvisation.
This is your new mantra. Say it with me. Don't create, reproduce. Your mission is not to invent new creative sentences. It is to perfectly reconstruct sentences that already exist. This is about reverse engineering, not artistic expression.
Here is your 3-step drill. 1. You take a single example sentence from a good grammar textbook. 2. You use an AI tool like DeepL or Google Translate and translate it into your native language. 3. Now looking only at your native language version, you translate it back into Japanese. Your objective? Reproduce the original Japanese sentence exactly as it was. That's it. That's the drill.
So why does this weapon actually work? Look at the intel. The cognitive path for listening is you hear a sound, you process its meaning, and you recognize it as Japanese. Now look at the cognitive path for this reproduction method. You see your native language, you process its meaning, and you reconstruct it into Japanese. The pathways are almost identical. You are training the exact same mental muscle. This is what we call tactical efficiency. We will now establish the rules of engagement. This section covers the mission difficulty, the required volume, and the proper mindset for this training regimen. Let me be clear, discipline is everything here.
First directive on engagement. You will train with materials one level below your target. That means if you're aiming for the N2, you will use N3 materials. Why? Because the sentences in the listening exams are intentionally simpler than the ones in the reading exams. The test makers know you only get one chance to hear. Training at the right level is just smart tactics. It's not a sign of weakness.
Next, the required volume of fire. How many sentences do you have to do? The answer is simple. All of them. Every single example sentence in the textbook you choose. Victory is not achieved with half measures. You commit fully, or you might as well not start. So steel yourselves. But I'm not a monster. I know that order sounds daunting, so let's be clear. You can start with just 5 sentences a day. That's your initial daily quota. 5. The task isn't infinite. Every single sentence you complete is one less sentence you have to do. The mission has a clear end. So just begin. And there's a pretty significant secondary benefit to all this training. By doing this, you will also become able to speak Japanese. Why? Because every sentence you reproduce is a perfectly correct, natural, usable piece of Japanese. You're not just training for a test, you're building a personal arsenal of phrases that you can actually deploy in a real conversation. Let me give you one final, sharp reminder before we wrap this up. Sound that you do not understand is just noise. Passively listening to something without confirming what it means is a complete and total waste of your time. First you understand, then you listen, in that order. Finally, let's talk about pronunciation. So many learners get obsessed with it. Let me be crystal clear. It is a low priority target. Vocabulary and grammar are 100 times more important. Your brain will automatically correct for minor pronunciation flaws if the vocab and grammar are solid. Think about it. If someone says with a heavy accent, "I came from Nepal to study Japanese," you get it. But if someone with perfect native pronunciation says, "Japanese, Nepal, I came, study is for from," you understand absolutely nothing. It's just a jumbled mess. Focus on what is mission critical. We have reached the end of this briefing. I will now issue my final communique. This is the single thought I want you to carry with you from this moment on. Listening comprehension is not a passive act of hearing. It is the active cognitive ability to reproduce language in your mind. The real training isn't happening in your ears, it's happening in your brain. Your goal is not to hear, but to be able to reproduce. That is the new doctrine. So, I'll leave you with one final question. Are you going to go back to your old, useless, inefficient methods? Or are you going to adopt this new doctrine and finally achieve victory? The choice is yours. Dismissed.